I remember when I first started making videos and I didn't realize you had to look at the lens and I was just staring at the little screen. Hopefully I don't make that mistake anymore. I've been making YouTube videos for 4 months now. So basically I already know everything that there is to know about starting and running a successful YouTube channel and being a good videographer, right? No. Completely wrong. Couldn't be farther from the truth. But that being said, I have learned a lot from the day that I decided that I wanted to start a YouTube channel to today, 16 videos later. So I wanted to share this video with all the lessons that I've learned about myself and about this process and how I'm trying to balance being authentically me while also showing up on a consistent basis. I realize that there's not a lot of videos out there like this. I mean, sure, there's videos on how to grow and gain subscribers and all that, but truthfully, that's all vanity metrics, and you can't worry about that stuff until you know why you want to show up in the first place and who you want to be and how to stay true to that. Because if you don't honor that, if you don't stay true to that, not only are you gonna fail, but you're gonna regret even starting this probably in the first place. So we're gonna start today with 3 of the lessons that have been on my mind more recently. To anyone out there who's thinking about starting a YouTube channel or any fellow small creators out there like myself, I hope these resonate with you and I hope you pick up a thing or 2. And if you like it, I'll make more because I've got a lot more than 3 lessons learned. Let's get started. The word expert is garbage. People think that they can only show up to do something if they're an expert. But the word expert is meaningless. I like to use the definition that Tim Ferriss writes in the 4-Hour Workweek. An expert is someone who knows something marginally better than the one who's learning it. We have this idea that you can't show up, that your stories and the messages that you want to convey aren't good enough because there's already someone out there either doing the same thing, right? Like if you want to be a car YouTuber, there are people with reviewing channels and they've got access to these cool cars that maybe you don't have. Or there are people who are professionally trained in something, you've learned it through your life experience, or it's just something that plain interests you. Don't not show up on a platform because you're afraid of your own inadequacies. You've got stories that are worth sharing and you have no idea who in this world needs to hear those stories from you. So don't lean into that fear that you're not good enough or that there's someone already doing what you're wanting to do because they're not gonna do it the exact way that you're gonna do it. Your message has meaning, that meaning has value to others. Never undermine that. The other side of being an expert is what happens when you win. You start to think of yourself differently. This is why so many people who get famous or gain notoriety end up losing all their successes down the road because they let their self-image be validated or influenced by the opinions that others have of them. And when you let that happen, that's the first step to losing all the success that you generated in the first place. The feelings of fame and acceptance can become so validating that you forget who you were without them. When you start to see yourself as an expert, that's the day when you commit to never learning again. That's the day that you decide to rest on the coattails of your laurels. You let your foot come off the gas, you slow down. You start getting sloppy and you start getting lazy. You stop staying sharp. That's the beginning of the end, because if you let yourself get focused on things like metrics or subscriber count or what's happening with your growth, that doesn't have to do with who you are as an individual or the message that you're trying to share with the world, both of those things will end up disappearing. When you're focused on the outcomes, you're not focused on the creation. Focus on the story, never stop learning, and you will be successful for the rest of time. Direction over speed. I knew when I started this that I wasn't gonna have 100,000 subscribers in the first year. So it was important for me to set up a set of rules or principles that I could fall back on to remind myself that I was doing well, to keep myself from getting discouraged. So started the 3-year rule. I've committed to posting at least once a week for the next 3 years. It's a way of forcing myself to kind of stick with it and not get discouraged if one video doesn't do well or if I don't have 1,000 subscribers by X date, etc. Because my view is so long term, I'm committing to being here so long that the perception of my activities and the outcomes are gonna be influenced in a positive way as opposed to feeling like I'm constantly falling short. This is why you need to know your why. It'll keep you from getting sucked up into this feeling like you're not doing well, you're not being successful, and that you should just quit. People very easily get process oriented when they start making these videos. It's easy to get swept up into how many subscribers you have and how many likes you're getting. I went through that phase myself where I would refresh the page once every few hours to see if I gained subscribers or lost subscribers, and it was very toxic and not a good relationship to keep with myself. Imagine what could happen if you took just one of those hours that you're utilizing to worry about your sub count and why you're not growing into figuring out how to tell a better story. How much more you'll be able to grow. Another concept that's helped me when I start to get down is to think about what my life would be like if I woke up tomorrow with 100,000 subscribers. What would I do? I don't know who I would be. I don't know what I would want to do. I don't know what the call to action to my subscribers would be. So, point frank, I'm not ready to have 100,000 subscribers. We oftentimes get discouraged because we feel like what we deserve is not what's actually happening. But if you take a step back and do something like that, it can maybe help you realize that you're gonna grow at the exact same pace that's right for you. If you don't have a high subscriber count today, if you feel like your videos are not good, they're not entertaining, that's because that's the amount that you're capable of achieving today. The output will match the input over a long enough time horizon when it's worth it. This is why slow growth is such a good thing, which is another thing that small creators aren't thinking about. Because the first few videos that I made were horrible. I almost don't even want to watch them back now. I mean, like, I'll throw a clip on the screen. I was sitting on the floor of my room on a blank wall right over there. I had no depth of field. All the B-roll shots that I threw up on the screen were completely irrelevant to what I was saying. I didn't know how to talk or communicate to the camera. I didn't even know that I was supposed to look at the lens instead of the viewfinder over there. The reality is that when you've got a small audience, you get to fail more freely. You're not worrying about the repercussions of how people are gonna view your work, about whether or not it's gonna be accepted. You get to try and iterate over and over and over again. And if you utilize that, if you just take that 1 hour a day and think about how you can tell a better story, you're gonna be so much better of a videographer and a YouTuber and a storyteller, and that's gonna pay in dividends. Don't worry about how small your audience is now. That truly is a good thing. So focus on what you can control. You can't control how people will view your work or how many people will see your videos. So put that energy into somewhere useful, redirect it in a place where you can add value. Pour it into questioning yourself. Focus on asking yourself questions like, would I watch this video myself? How can I tell this story better? How could the composition or the lighting in my shots be more engaging? The hidden costs of niching down. I'm gonna give you another example from the 4-Hour Work Week. Ferriss talks about a lady who created a yoga DVD designed for rock climbers. It was all about how doing these certain stretching yoga poses would increase your mobility so that you could climb these massive mountain rock faces better. Completely targeted audience, ultra specific, and likely an underserved audience. I mean, like, how many products out there are mass produced for rock climbers? Because it's an underserved audience, it's likely that there's a demand there that's not being met, and she's gonna have success marketing that product, and she did. The thing is you can have 20 unrelated products. No one needs to know that you're the one behind them. No one needs to know that you're the one running those businesses. But YouTube doesn't work that way. YouTube is different. Everything you do, say, share, experience, and put on this platform is being associated with who you are. You see my face, you see my words talking. This is all me and a personal brand. YouTube is a social media platform. It's entertainment, but it's also a business. Everything that I say right now is building a brand. It's building an association of what Ari is and who she's like. And that's fine. But you need to understand the implications of niching down. You need to understand the implications of going after a very targeted audience. Because if you change your mind one day, it's gonna be a lot harder to back up and change. The more narrow your niche is, the faster you'll grow, because the more likely it is that that audience is underserved and there's a demand waiting right there for you to take advantage of it. But the more narrow a set of behaviors is that people grow to expect from you, the harder it will be to transition and do anything else down the line. So only niche down specifically if you are 100% sure that you are gonna be the same exact person in 10 years as you are today. And please do not come away from that thinking that that applies to you, because if you're the same person that you are today in a decade, something has gone horribly wrong. People change, interests change, hobbies change, and that's okay, because we're human and we're not meant to be the same for the rest of our lives. Open yourself to possibilities, open yourself to different kinds of content, open yourself to different kinds of personalities. Just figure out who you are and who you want to be. It sounds like you're gonna find that out the fastest by niching down, getting specific, and just sticking unwavering to that. And yes, you might get there the fastest that way, but remember what matters. Remember what we already talked about. It's direction over speed. If you put yourself on the right path and you focus on doing the little steps here and there every single day, you will eventually get whatever it is that you want. I promise you. Focus on the direction. Don't get hung up on what you're doing and how fast you're gonna grow, and just do something that makes you feel good, deeply makes you feel good. If it doesn't, then it's not right for you, and there's no point in doing it. Life is just one experiment after another. Learn to view it as a game, play, experience, enjoy, and you'll know when it's time to double down and get serious on one specific thing. But life is too short to not be enjoyed, and it's too short to limit yourself before you even know who you are. So those are 3 meta tips that I've been thinking a lot about recently in terms of my own growth and kind of recalibrating what matters to me and reminding myself why I'm here and why I started in the first place. Like I said, I've been here for 4 months. I know a little bit, but I've committed to at least 3 years on this platform, so I've got a long ways to go. And this video is a sign of me utilizing one of those principles I already talked about, direction over speed. I realized that I was getting way too hung up on my metrics and how many subscribers I had and all this stuff that doesn't matter to me. It's not gonna give me staying power. It's not gonna make me keep showing up. So I'm working on my stories, and I hope you do the same. And I hope you share them. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next week. Oh God, that's so horribly wrong. But that is a YouTube channel or any of the smello, I said smello.